Talking. So, why was the frog late to work on April Fool's Day?
I don't know.
His car got towed. Quick with that button. Quick with the button. I didn't say it would be good.
His car got towed.
His car got towed. It's April Fool's Day.
It's April Fool's Day here at the MCP.
Yeah.
We're sitting in Dane's shop. We were supposed to start this podcast 1 hour and 47 minutes ago.
Yeah, but you had to like school me on what you've done for this podcast. There's like 6 pages of like insane work that you did on this. Like you spent like 2 weeks. I mean, it's just insane.
I spent like half a day, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
Well, I guess we'll just jump into it since you kind of already mentioned it.
Yeah, I didn't mention it.
No,
I didn't. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. We could be talking about anything.
Anything.
I have no idea. Well, what we are going to talk about, as you know, previously in a previous episode, we took a look at the financials of a bike shop. Mm-hmm. And we had a very unique perspective having Dane here in that he owns a bike shop.
Yeah.
And so I went out and did some analysis, and he came back and said, you're right, you're right, you're wrong. You're right, you're wrong. You're wrong, you're right. Right, wrong, whatever. Yep. And we got a good perspective. And you guys liked that episode. It actually performed really well for us. Completion rate was up. The listens were up. It continues to, people continue to go back to that.
It's got a lot of good info. I think it's interesting, even if you're not a bike person, like not in the bike industry, but I got a lot of calls from bike industry people.
Did you really?
Yeah.
What'd they say? Like, what was their perspective like?
Well, a couple of them were just like, it's spot on. One guy argued with me. He was kind of drunk though. And then
he said that as I'm picking up my Dos Equis lager here.
But for the most part, a lot of people that listened to it were kind of like, I don't know. It was like it's never talked about or something.
Right. It's taboo.
Yeah. And
what are you guys doing?
Yeah. It wasn't a scolding. It was more like, thank you for finally saying something, and I didn't think about it that way. I just thought this is how it is. But like I said, in that episode, it came from a lot of misunderstandings that I started to realize people have on what this stuff costs. Like I hear all the time, the bikes are too expensive and they cost too much and we got to bring the price down. And being in the industry, I kind of get how absolutely I would love to see that, but I also see how hard it is. And this episode is going to help with another perspective of that. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, man. So what are we talking about? When we put out that bike shop episode, bike shop financials, what does a bike shop make? We got a bunch of comments back that was like, yeah, cool. Everybody knows that bike shops don't make any money, but what do the bike brands make? And so we thought it would be interesting to take a look and try to figure out, at least directionally, with public data that's out there, what are these bike shop or what are these bike manufacturing brands? And in this case, one component brand, like how are they performing? What kind of money are they making? And I'll start with some caveats, strong caveats. So some of the data that we're going to talk about today, I have a lot of confidence in, and that's the data that's directly tied to the companies that are public companies that have to report their quarterly earnings and have all kinds of legal and statutory requirements to actually release their financials. That stuff is a matter of fact, and as long as they were honest in their financial statement, that data is accurate. So I have a lot of confidence in that. We have also tried to break down a couple bikes at a couple price points.
Yeah, you can't do everything.
Can't do everything. So we just picked 2 bikes.
2 kind of price point examples.
Yeah, we picked like a $5,000 acoustic mountain bike and a $15,000 e-mountain bike. And said, hey, if I broke down that $5,000 or that $15,000, like what are the buckets of cost in there? Mm-hmm. And so you can kind of get a feel for like what are the elements of cost that go into those bikes. Yeah. That we have, I think, a pretty okay or a moderate confidence level in the data. There was a lot of assumptions that were made, so it's not perfect. So one caveat for me is talking to you about all this data and just realizing there are very few publicly traded bicycle companies. Yeah.
And that is a little like I was surprised, there's not very many. And so there are companies, there's lots and lots of companies everybody's thinking about that if they're privately held.
We don't have that data.
Yeah. So a good example would be SRAM.
Yeah.
Like huge company, but we can't get their data. It's private.
Yeah. And the reason why Dane's mentioning SRAM, other than the fact that he's in love with SRAM, is the fact that Shimano is a public company.
Yes. And so you can get their data.
We have a lot of data on Shimano.
Yeah.
All right. So I also want to throw out there, okay, so we have kind of like moderate to high confidence level. And I'll flag when we go through this, like what I'm confident in and what I'm like, hey, this is an estimate. I could be wrong.
Okay.
Regardless, let me throw this out there into the ether. To any of our listeners, if we say something today or quote something today, and you're like, I know for damn sure that that's wrong.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah.
And I will do one of two things. Depending on how egregious the oversight was, I will either, number one, I'll update our show notes with that correction.
Okay.
Or if it's really bad, I'll record a separate like addition to the end of the episode.
That's a good idea.
And I can apply that to the end of the episode. Said, hey, we screwed up this. By the way, we've, X, Y, and Z, awesome listener corrected us. Here's the correction. So I will commit to you that if you get a hold of us, the best way to do that is through that fan mail link in our show notes.
Yeah.
You can also send an email to mountaincog@gmail.com. Or you can hit us up at any of our socials. I guess Facebook for the old people and Instagram for everyone else.
Hate that. That's not true. Hey, I told you what it is. Facebook has pictures and words. Whereas like Twitter used to be just words, and then Instagram's pictures. And so that's kind of what it is. It's not an age thing.
Facebook is for grandparents.
It's not an age thing. It's not. I'm on Instagram too. And you know what I'm not on is like Snapchat or what's the
I don't know any of the other ones.
I won't do what's the other one that's really cool and I should do it.
X?
No, the one that everybody dances on.
TikTok?
Yeah. So Turner will send me videos all the time and he's like, you didn't watch my video. I'm like, I don't have TikTok, bro. So
just send it to him as an Instagram reel.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So we got moderate to high level of confidence in this data.
Yep.
All right. So let me kind of first tell you like what I'm going to tell you. And I'll kind of just like summarize how this episode's going to work. First and foremost, I'm going to go through some of the public companies and just give some top level summaries of what their financial statements are. And I looked at 2020 to 2024 because I get good data for those years. Some of the companies haven't fully reported 2025, so I didn't include that.
Okay.
So we'll talk about those companies, and I'll tell you who the companies are in a minute. Then we took a $5,000 bike and a $15,000 bike, and we broke down all the different elements of cost that add up to $5,000. We'll kind of summarize and talk through that and debate that as we go through it.
Yeah, I already have questions.
Then we're going to talk about Shimano.
Okay.
And
it's because you love Shimano.
Well, yeah, we're going to talk about Shimano, and we're going to talk about, I think like I've been obvious that I love Shimano. Everyone knows I got a Shimano hat, Shimano shirt, all kinds of stuff, whatever.
Yep.
Part of the reason why I love Shimano is I'm in love with like the Japanese philosophy around design, manufacturing, and business. We're going to talk about their financials, and there's going to be a big difference in the financials that Shimano has compared to the other companies. They're performing much better. And I'm going to relay why, like some of the Japanese philosophy. I'm going to explain 4 tenets to Japanese business philosophy that I think are contributing factors. There's other contributing factors, and I'll talk about those too. But this is part of why I love Shimano is just, I really like that Japanese philosophy. In addition to the fact that they make 80% bikes and I love their bike products, and they make 20% fishing and I love their fishing products.
Nice. Okay.
All right. So who are the 5 companies that I could find? There were 5 companies I could find in the bike industry that have public data. Maybe there's more. And this is a good example. If you know of one that I didn't find, let me know. But let me tell you the 5 I found. Number 1 is Giant. Number 2 is Merida.
Okay.
By the way, Merida owns 35% of Specialized.
Yep.
Both Giant and Merida make frames for lots and lots of people.
Yeah,
not just for their own.
Yeah,
brands.
they have their own bikes, but they're probably, I would say, 80% of the bikes produced are probably them.
Yeah, don't quote us on that because you're just guessing.
No, I'm totally guessing, but you can quote me because I would say
I don't know if that's true, but it's a large number. I'm pretty confident.
It's pretty big.
Yep. So Giant and Merida, and then Shimano was the third company, and again, Shimano's 80% bike, 20% fishing, and so I included the data on those 3 companies because they were primarily bicycle companies. 2 other companies, Fox.
Yep.
And it looks to me like about 20% of their stuff is like, mountain bike related.
Foxtail.
Yeah.
So suspension.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then The other one was CS.
Yeah.
Chenxing.
Yeah.
Which you guys might know by Maxis.
Yeah. Or CST.
Or CST.
Yeah.
And again, only roughly 20% of their business is bikes. So I excluded CS and I excluded Fox because such a small percentage of their business is in bikes. I didn't think it would be, I could like give you guys good information there.
Yeah.
All right. So let's start with the manufacturers. Again, I looked from like 2020 to 2024.
Okay.
In all cases here, I think 2021 was the best performing year. And I think that makes sense because that's like when COVID was booming, right?
Yeah. 2020 was kind of a baseline, what it was before COVID. And then
2021 was like everyone was buying bikes and we were going crazy.
Yeah. We were running out of stuff.
So at that time, Giant, just under $3 billion of revenue and a net margin of 7.7%.
And 21?
That's 2021. So that's the highest in the last 4 years or whatever. 3 billion. It's like 2.93, but 3 billion in revenue, 7.7% profit.
Okay. And that's their height. So they're making
in this window in the last four or 5 years. Yep.
7.7 of almost 3 billion.
They're netting 7.7.
They're killing it at
profit.
that. That's their like.
Well, I mean that's the highest they've had in the last 4 years.
Okay. All right.
Or 5 years.
Okay.
And then 2024 revenue down from 3 billion to about 2.2.
Okay.
That's bad. But then also margin down, net margin down from 7.7 to 1.8.
That's crazy. Because if you think about almost 2.5 billion versus 3, but you're going down to 1.8 instead
like
of 7.
5 points of margin.
Yeah, that is huge. That means that they were selling stuff at cost almost.
Yeah. I mean,
they were still selling almost the same amount, but at cost, or at least the same totals, but at cost.
Yep.
So.
Yep. All right, let's go to the next one, and we'll go to Merida. Smaller company. In this case, their big year, 2021 and 2022 had similar revenues, but it's about $1 billion company in 2021.
Oh, that's interesting. So like 1/3 of Giant.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I thought they were bigger than that. Just
and somewhere around here they bought 35% of Specialized, and I'm not exactly sure. So I'm not going to tell that in the story. I think it's in 2022 based on.
Yeah, it would be kind of nice to kind of see where they did that.
Yeah,
and then this 24 number, they did a huge write off. Did you know that? Did your data give you that? So they wrote off a ton of debt.
Yeah, so that's why you see negative
0.8%
margin.
Okay, all right.
So when you say write off, they were actually not profitable. They lost money,
and they basically, I guess, just get to a one-time write it off. Yep. Just say, hey, that's it.
So they went from like $1 billion and like 16% of margin, which is
huge, way bigger than Giant.
Way bigger than Giant.
Yeah. So
all the way down to about 0.9 billion in revenue. But a negative 0.8% margin. They lost money, a significant amount of money.
I wonder what that looks like on a graph.
We could graph it. I don't have it right now, but it's a big number.
Because they're so much higher, and then they came down. Would their ending be close to where Giant was? So,
well, if it was negative, no, because Giant was still positive.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and 3 times the size.
And 3 times the size. Yeah. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So
the next one we'll go to is Shimano. And we'll save actually, how should we do this? Let's save Shimano for the end.
And just because you want to talk a lot about it.
I just want to talk a lot about Shimano.
You're such a fanboy.
I am a fanboy. No, because we're going to have 2 Shimano topics and we should just join them together so that there's cohesiveness.
Okay.
So, let's talk a little bit about Giant Merida. So they are, Giant sells their own bikes.
Okay.
They also have the Live brand, right?
Yep.
They sell them in the United States. They also in their factories around the world manufacture frames and components for, I think, components, maybe just frames.
Well, they do. They have the Cadex line of wheels, which they're trying to build as their own brand or a brand standalone. And then they do a lot of OE.
Are they building other people's wheels?
Yeah.
Yeah. So frames and components.
So they
for
can
many different brands in the industry.
Yeah.
And same with Merida. And if you're in our U.S. listener base, you may not even recognize Merida, but if you go to Europe, I guarantee you're going to see Merida bikes.
Yep. Yeah.
All over the place. And there must be some kind of arrangement where they can't sell Merida bikes in the United States.
Yeah, you're right. Like, cause you never see them in the States,
right,
but you see them over there. And they only acquired 30+% on Specialized recently.
I think it was in 2022.
Yeah.
And if we get a chance where you're actually talking on this podcast, I'll see if I can look
You're going to do most of the talking. But I just know that as far as that goes, it is weird that you don't see them. So
yeah.
That is kind of, you're right. They must have agreements. So I wonder how many other companies they make bikes for. Like if it's the bigger companies like Trek and other companies where, they're just like, hey man, just don't put your bike out.
At one point, this was pre-AI. If you remember a couple years ago, I started the analysis on, where all the bike companies' frames were made.
Yes.
And I've got a spreadsheet that's got that. Like what factory was it made in?
Yeah.
And so I know some of that. I never completed it. I spent many, many hours on that analysis.
It gets confusing because I know for a fact Trek uses Merida.
You had to break out the specific bikes.
Yes,
It wasn't just like all Trek frames go here.
No, like they may make their cruisers or kids bikes in one factory and then their full suspension in another, and then they may make their road bike, somewhere else, and there's totally different places where they're going. So
again, Giant went from $3 billion to 2.2 billion, 2021 to 2024, and from 7.7% margin to 1.8% margin. And Merida went from about $1 billion to 0.9 billion, but went from 15.8% margin all the way down to negative 0.8% margin.
Wow, that's crazy. So same amount.
Roughly the same amount of revenue.
Same amount of, total dollars coming in.
Yeah.
So again, selling it below cost.
I mean, I don't know whether they sold below cost, but something happened that caused them to be negative. And to be honest with you, I could go research that and that would be in their public filings. I just didn't.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Or at least their explanation for it to their street.
Okay.
Also probably worth noting, Giant and Merida, both on the Taiwanese, like the data was published in the Taiwanese currency.
Okay.
And in Shimano was published in the Japanese currency. And I would try to guess what those are, but I'm going to screw it up if I do.
Yeah.
But I had them converted based on like yesterday's or day before's exchange rate to USD.
Okay.
So we can have apples to apples.
Yeah. That makes sense. So,
all right. So, okay. Let's talk about, well, first of all, any questions about that? Did that surprise you? Make sense? Does that even mean anything to you?
I mean, it was interesting seeing Merida's just about 1/3 of Giant. Everybody knows Giant's giant. They're huge.
Yep.
Like, so they make a lot of stuff, and their vertical integration gives them a real, foothold, so they own the mine, the smelter, everything. So the aluminum, they're digging it, they're making it.
Yeah. Soup to nuts.
Yeah. All the way. So that's kind of crazy. It's a big deal. And Mr. Giant just passed away.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a Mr. Giant.
I guess the guy who started it. Yeah. So
is his name Mr. Giant?
No, I can't remember what it was, but I'm sorry for your loss, but he, he was a key driver and he wasn't a huge cyclist. He started cycling late in life.
Yeah.
So that's the little trivia I know. So there you go. So,
okay. So let's take, two different price points of bikes.
Okay.
Break them down into chunks and see if we can, discuss, like what are all the elements of cost that make up a $5,000 bike? What are all the elements of cost that make up a $15,000 electric mountain bike?
Yeah. Now, your numbers I have issues with, but you put a lot of work into trying to find them out, and you're confident in most of them.
It's like
there's little things that could be
moderately confident and they're directionally correct, but they're not perfect.
Yeah. And so the big thing is we may be off a little bit, but the overall scheme is on
it's
point.
Directionally accurate. It's typically what
I don't know that term. I don't know.
So it just means that like, I know this isn't perfect, but it's close enough for you to get the point.
Yes. Yeah. It's not like, okay. And I just want to throw that out there.
So the first thing we'll talk about is cost of goods sold.
Okay.
And
so this is for the manufacturer
we'll start with
the bike.
Right. This is all about the brand's costs.
So are we talking in general, or are we talking about just Merida and Giant?
So
because it's not Shimano, they don't make a bike.
Right. So the data was grounded factually in what was publicly available from the publicly traded companies.
Okay.
but it was also augmented with anything we could find.
Okay.
That was private companies where they released or talked about stuff.
Okay.
So you got bits and pieces of information that comes out from the private companies. You got a pretty good understanding from the public companies. Okay. Lots of different sources and lots of estimations. Again, not perfect, but
it's kind of smoothed.
It's smoothed.
Okay.
But
all right.
But to me, it feels pretty good.
Yeah. I'm looking at some of the numbers and they're not far off because I know some OEM pricing and I'm looking at some of our high end manufacturers. So like you have a carbon frame.
Yeah.
At the $5,000 trail, you were putting that as
about $500.
Yeah. $475. And I'm like, I think that's low for a company like Pivot, but probably high for a company like KHS or Kona.
Yeah.
Right.
And we just, and Pivot doesn't really sell a $5,000 bike.
No, good point. Good point. Right. So it's probably not the right data for that. So, okay.
Yeah. But Norco does.
Yes.
So
exactly.
Like maybe think about Norco in this example.
Yeah.
Right? Just to ground us in one brand.
Good call. Okay.
All right. So for a $5,000 bike, you add up all the, and I'm not going to go through all the prices individually because then we'll get into debates. But if we add up all the cost of goods sold, let me just tell you what those things are. This is the cost of the frame and the hardware. This is the cost of the fork, RockShox or Fox, typically also DVO and some other brands, Manitou. The cost of the shock, the cost of the drivetrain, the wheel set, the cockpit and dropper post, the tires, the cost in the factory for labor to assemble it, and then the cost of packaging, freight, and import duties. Add all that stuff together for a $5,000 bike. It's rough. A $5,000 bike. It's roughly $2,000.
Okay, so that would be their cost of goods sold.
Cost of goods sold.
Okay.
So then you're like, oh, okay, cool. Well, then they're making $3,000. Doesn't work that way.
No,
there's more.
Yeah. Right? Well, that's their cost.
That's their cost of goods sold.
So they haven't made any money.
No.
So they're not making $3,000 or whatever.
I mean, if they sold it for $5,000, of the $5,000 rate. Okay, so the next thing we have to look at is what I'll call the brand operating costs.
Okay.
So you got things like research and development. This is kinematic design, geometry, mold tooling, prototyping, all the R&D stuff. Mm-hmm. You've got marketing, things like events, content, athlete sponsorship, whatever you see in the dirt rag or whatever they pay Pink Bike,
or whatever YouTuber,
or whatever they're going to eventually pay us to be an advertiser on the Mountain Bike Podcast.
Yeah. When we sell out,
if we ever sell out,
I'll totally sell out. Just for all the brands right now, just so you know, we'll sell out.
I don't know that we will.
We'll sell out. I'll sell out.
It's going to have to be a lot of money.
I mean, I'll tell people. Like if you tell people, it's not.
What is our integrity worth?
Lots.
Yes, lots. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. But that means you have a price.
We have a price.
Yeah.
That's a good statement. We have a price.
We have a price.
Call us if you want to talk about that price.
There's a joke there.
There is a joke somewhere.
It's like, would you have sex with me for $1? And they say no, right?
Yeah.
And then you go, would you have sex with me for $1 million? And they're like, sure. And they're like, would you have sex with me for $1? Right. And they're like, no. And you're like, well, now we just have to dicker over the price. We know what kind of person you are, but we just have to dick over the price. Something like that. I can't remember.
Bicker.
So, yeah,
bicker.
Not
dicker. Bicker.
Right. Yeah.
Bicker.
Oh, bicker?
Bicker over the price. Negotiate.
Yeah, but you dicker. Oh, man.
I'm not even going to go there.
I'm going to have to look that one up. So, okay. All right. Back on track.
All right. So we're going through brand operating costs. We talked about R&D. We talked about marketing. The next thing is warranty reserve.
Yes.
So they have to reserve some percentage of the value of that bike to cover warranties because they're going to have some.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. They're required to in the States anyway. So
they have to pay their sales reps and their dealer support teams. And then they have their own brand overhead, things like facilities, staff, administration, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So you add all that stuff up as it gets amortized across all the bikes they sell. And you can assume it's about $1,000 of cost
per bike.
Yes. Right.
Okay.
So we got $2,000 for cost of goods sold, $1,000 for the brand operating cost. Now, if you want to go back and we can bicker on the percentages here, but the other big element of cost is the profit, the gross profit that the shop gets that sells it.
Okay. All right. Dealer gross profit. Okay.
Right. So this is before all your shop's costs and everything. And we already went all through that in a previous episode. So we don't need to rehash that.
No, but this is on par with that.
We've got 35% here.
Yeah.
Like
and 35 is high.
It's high.
We talked about that's kind of high. And then, but it is maybe the starting. And that's the big caveat that you were talking about. The other episode brought out is that the margin on the bike
depends on the quantity that you buy.
Doesn't always actually end up being the margin. But when the sales reps come in and sell me a bike, they're talking about this margin.
Yes.
And then when we add in all our costs, it shrinks.
Yeah. So this would be, this is your gross margin.
Yeah.
But then you got to bring in all of your operating costs, which gets you to your net margin. Yep. And that's the actual cash that you can take home.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
All right. So this, of that $5,000 bike, $1,750 roughly.
Okay.
For you.
Okay.
And that covers all your cost and a little tiny sliver of take home money for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So we don't get $1,750, just like they don't technically get
$3,000.
$3,000. Yeah. Yes, exactly. So
what's left over is about $300 of net income.
$5,000 bike
that the bike company makes on a $5,000 bike is about $300.
Okay.
Or somewhere between 6.5 and 7.5%.
Okay. So if that bike company wanted to make a $300,000 net income for the year, they would have to sell.
Oh, you're going to ask me to do math in public now?
Fuck. Yeah, I just tried to do that math in my head. My brain broke. So if it's 300,000,
1,000 bikes.
$1,000, 1,000 bikes. Okay, so that's
300 times 1,000. I think is 300,000.
And if you think about how much a bike company may actually profit, that's okay. I get that. If a Trek or a Specialized is making, they're selling more than 1,000 bikes a year. Yeah, right.
They must be, because we saw what their profit margins were,
and
that, their total revenue.
Yep. Right? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And that 300 is the net. And that's after they've paid their employees, paid for their rent, their utilities, things like that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Now, I said that they make about 6.5 to 7.5. Like, what the analysis shows is that 6.5 is more on the acoustic bikes, that 7.5 is more on the mountain bikes.
So they're making more on the,
I think so.
Is it
okay. percentage, a little bit more percentage.
Yeah.
And we can debate that, but that's at least what I've seen.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's break down now. I mean, does that surprise you, or any ahas there? I mean, the fact that they're only making about $300 for a $5,000 bike, like, I wouldn't have guessed that.
At first, I was like, no way, that can't be right. You wouldn't stay in business. And then I started
think about volume.
You think about volume, and you also have to think about that is like the leftover money after everyone's been paid, everything's been paid.
Yeah.
And so that literally
goes into amortizing all their operating costs over each bike.
Yep, exactly.
And so there'll be people in the industry and be like, "That's not what we make. I know for sure." And I'll challenge them, be like, "You don't know what your operating costs are, so you don't know how to amortize it."
That is probably one of the hardest things. Right. One of the hardest things to like nail down. People kind of have this idea that you just know exactly what you're going to make, and I'm like, no, you don't, because shit changes. Like, if it's really hot, my AC bill goes up, $100 on a month. Yep. And if it's really nice out, it drops, and if it's like, that can affect your monthly. And
every time we do a podcast, you end up with like another $1,000 of revenue because I buy stuff from you.
That's true. Yeah. That's
Except for tonight, you haven't sold me anything yet, but
I know.
The night's not over yet.
That's true. Yeah. We got plenty of time. I got a lot of shiny things.
You do. You do. And I have that's why I took my glasses off, so I can't see anything.
Just don't look at it. Don't look at it. Don't look.
All right.
So yeah, it took me a while to go, okay, that, and then by multiplying it by 1,000
or it's actually way more than 1,000. It would have to be to get to the billions of dollars of revenue that we saw.
Yeah. But that is reasonable, because I can imagine a Trek or a Giant or a Specialized selling 10,000 bikes or, I don't know if they sell 100,000. That's something I don't really know.
I could probably look that up.
Yeah, how many?
At least for the public bikes, I bet you that I can find out some of that.
Yeah, because I know Pivot doesn't sell as many, right? They're a smaller. Yeah. People don't realize it's a much smaller operation. Yeah. But I mean, Trek is huge, and so Specialized. So okay, all right. So
I don't have a good idea of the volume. I mean, I can see the sales, and you got to keep in mind with Giant Merida that revenue is not just their brand, it's also revenue from the frames that they're selling to other bike companies.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right? And that's true. Yeah. Yeah. So they're, and if
they're doing wheels or whatever else.
But for them, their product is the frame, right? And so
for that part of their business.
So how would you factor that in if they're selling just a frame to somebody? Is that,
I didn't do that analysis.
Yeah.
But that's why I said consider Norco.
Okay.
As like a good company to
or
think
you would
of here.
pull out this 475, like you pulled out for the 5,000 frame. And
Yeah. So for them, the profit on the frame, you talk about the benefit of them being vertically integrated.
Yeah.
They're not, so there's something called fee on fee.
Yeah.
Where if you're buying from a supplier, they're taking a profit and then
Yes.
you're integrating it in, then you're also taking a profit.
Yep. Yeah.
So when you vertically integrate that and you make your own frames,
Yep.
whatever the percentage of that frame cost, that's a fee.
Yeah.
Assuming that your operations are
same
efficient
company's
and all
getting
that
that.
stuff
Yep,
and you're
yep.
doing a good job, you can take that off. So maybe their cost for the frame's a little bit less.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Because it's all vertically integrated.
Yeah. And if they even, like if they have their businesses separated and the schmelting company has its own LLC, that's not how it works. But let's say they do that, then the aluminum extrusion company buys the aluminum, realistically it's all integrated.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, now you're talking about tiers of a supply base and
I know.
we could get really deep into that. And I actually want to do that episode
okay.
to break down.
Dude, we'll lose so many people. They'll just start sleeping.
Well, we didn't think they would like the bike shop one and
True.
they did.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
This is even a little dorkier.
Okay, let's get back on
See
track.
how it goes. Okay, get back on track.
Because I squirreled.
$15,000. Thank you for bringing this back on track.
Yeah.
Okay, so we broke down the $5,000 bike.
That was $5,000
Yep,
trail non-e-bike.
Yep, and we said $2,000 for cost of goods sold, $1,000 for brand operating costs, $1,700 for the shop gross profit, not net profit, but gross profit.
Yep.
And then they pull out like $325.
Okay, real quick.
Net income.
Real quick squirrel. So the bike shop, the dealer network that's selling these, they're getting that $1,750.
Yep.
If you sold direct, that would stay with you, and that's why it's appealing.
But
okay,
that brand operating costs, those go up.
and then
Because all the stuff that you do,
okay,
the shop does,
yes,
they have to now do.
yeah, they have to hire more people.
Yes. So their operating costs go up. And the question is where's the balance?
Yes,
Is it cheaper for them to have you sell it, or is
Yeah.
it cheaper for them to sell it themselves?
and so when we
And
talked
their
about
strategists are doing that analysis, I'm sure.
in that episode, we talked about direct to consumer. That's when we realized where that model starts to fail is when the cost of that goes up higher than it would be to just have a dealer.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we I don't want to rehash that episode,
Yeah.
but one of the big things was
I just want to link this stuff so people can
it's all
kinda go,
it is all
yeah,
linked,
yeah,
right?
it's totally.
But it was customer acquisition cost
Okay.
went way up
Yep.
when like Facebook and all those guys changed their rules.
Yep.
Remember that?
And
We
start
talked about
charging
that.
more. Yep.
Yeah. So we don't have to
Okay.
rehash that episode. But if you're interested in the direct to consumer, go back a few episodes. We've got a good episode that breaks that down.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, back to this. We broke down the $5,000 carbon e-mountain bike or carbon acoustic mountain bike.
Yep.
Let's go to a $15,000 carbon e-mountain bike.
Okay.
Same categories.
Yep.
Start with cost of goods sold and all the same things, but there's a couple extra things as you can imagine. There is a motor.
Yes.
There is batteries.
Yep.
There is software.
Yep.
There is a more robust frame that all that stuff's put into because
Would you say that the $15,000 bike has more? It has nicer stuff on it, and that costs more?
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
So
is
like-
the reason why you see the component costs are higher
Yep.
for the $15,000 bike because it's a higher spec.
Yeah, higher spec.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So for a $15,000 bike, cost of goods sold, about $5,000.
About $5,000. Okay. So 1/3.
For a $15,000 bike, brand operating costs, about $1,500.
Okay.
So why is it more? My hypothesis, you're doing more R&D because now you got a motor and software and batteries and you didn't have any of that. So you're paying more for R&D.
So do you feel like because it's a higher end product that they have to put more time into it to just make sure it's perfect, or
Well, so if I'm selling an acoustic bike,
or does the material cost more?
well, okay, so yes, and yes.
okay. All right.
But really what I'm talking about is there are things on an electric mountain bike that don't exist on an acoustic mountain bike. I don't have to invent or design a battery. I don't have to invent or design a motor
Yeah.
or pay someone else to do it.
Okay.
I don't have to invent or design or integrate in electric controls and software and a screen and
So
all that
all of
shit.
that added cost.
That's
okay.
additional R&D.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
There's also, because it's a higher price bike, a higher percentage of warranty that is reserved, right?
Or a higher cost of warranty.
Higher cost of warranty.
Yep.
I also believe there's some higher costs in their overhead because now you're doing things like storing hazardous materials.
So true.
Shipping hazardous materials, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So every time we get I think I've talked about this, every time we get a package that has some sort of lithium ion in it, even if it's small, like a little Knight Rider light with that in there, the package has to be designated. It has to go through a different process. All of that costs more money. It's getting better, but it all costs more money.
Yep.
So,
I'm talking rough numbers here, roughly $5,000 for the cost of goods sold, $15,000 for the brand operating costs, about $5,000 for the dealer, and what's left, about $1,000.
Okay.
Or maybe a little bit more than $1,000, like $1,200. I'm kind of really estimating. All my numbers aren't adding up. I've got all the exact numbers, but I don't want to bore you. I'm just giving you big
So they were making almost, or a little over 300. Now they're making a little over 1,000.
Over 1,000.
All right.
Over $1,000 they make in net income on a $15,000 mountain bike.
Okay. And that's, again, paying for everything.
Yep.
So
about 7.5%.
So if they had 1,000 of each of these bikes, 1,000 e-bikes is more profitable.
Yeah.
But you've got a lot more money hanging out in the wind until they sell.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting when you say profitable, are you talking percentage or profit dollars? Because if they're exact same percentage, but you're selling a more expensive product, then 7.5% on a $15,000 product is a lot higher than 7.5% on a $5,000 profit from the number of profit dollars coming in.
I think it's at the end of the year, how much is in your bank. And so if you use, and so if you use the unit cost, the e-bikes are going to be better, but you're exposed with how much money you have out there. So how much you have to put in is way higher. And they call that cost of money.
Yeah.
And
then how many can you actually sell?
Yeah.
Like, I think there's probably a lot more $5,000 bikes just in general sold than there are $15,000 bikes. Because there's not, I mean, let's be honest, 15,000 bikes, shit, that's like almost what I paid for my truck.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. It's
I've
crazy.
never paid anything close to that.
I sold one the other day and it blows my mind a little bit. But it's really hard to, I hate comparing it to motorcycles. But when you think about side-by-sides and motorcycles and some of the other things that you do outdoors to have fun and all this time, and then we did a little bit of talking about golf, same thing.
Yeah.
It's not as crazy as when you just go, like you think back when you were a kid and kids were riding around the
$300 Huffy or $100 Huffy.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you had a $300 Huffy, it wasn't a Huffy.
You were big pimping.
Yeah. It was like a Diamondback or a Mongoose, right? Back then.
Something sweet.
And it is crazy to think that's what we grew up on, and now we're riding these machines that are costing as much as a car, and they don't have all that intricacy. Like, think about that. There's no stereo on my bike. Like, I don't have cup holders. Well, that's not true. I guess I have bottle cages, but I don't even get the bottle cage with the bike. So I have to buy it separate. So, okay.
Yeah. All right. So all of that leads to one of our big takeaways is that the bike brands are earning less per bike than I think most people think.
Yes. I think that's true. And I listen to the forums and people talking. I listen to a lot of YouTube presenters, a lot of people out there, and they're like, oh yeah, it's just bikes are just crazy out of control. And I'm like, because I'm in the industry and I have a slight idea of this.
Yeah.
And I have a working knowledge of what OE costs are and things like that. I'm like, well, it's really hard. Like a brand manager for a bike company will take a bike that they're building and they will stress over what grips to put on it, because if they save 50 cents
or $1,
or
$2,
it will make a bottom line decision and
a big difference.
Yeah. And people are like, why didn't they just put, I'm trying to think. Yeah.
Why didn't they put the new 1-Up grips on it?
Yes.
Whatever.
Yeah. Or why do they put Bontrager grips instead of like some other grip or, and I'm like,
on a Trek bike.
Yes. On a Trek, and it's like, because they're controlling the cost better on that Bontrager, and so, it is kind of crazy. Or, why did I spend 10 grand and get aluminum wheels on the bike?
Right.
And I'm like, you don't understand how much more that frame was than maybe the competitor. And so,
And it was interesting as we were looking at this, breaking it down. I'm slowly turning Dane into a strategist. I love it. We were just joking about that earlier.
Yeah.
And he's turning me into a bike shop owner. Slowly as well.
Well, at least helping you gain an appreciation of like how passion based this is. And
oh yeah,
this carries into the bike companies.
100%.
These guys are doing this because they love it.
Yeah.
And they're doing it because they just love this sport and they're willing. And so you can imagine when you went and did your costs and those people are being paid, they are not being paid. There's engineers in the bike industry that are making
I don't know this.
Yeah.
You're gonna guess on numbers. We don't know this.
No, I know some of this because I know these people.
Okay, I just for the record, I did not study this, so I don't know this.
I can tell you there was an article. I can't remember if it was Mountain Bike Action, but they did go through of the where
Pink Bike did a survey on how much people were making. We could probably go back and look at that survey.
But this was before that. This was an actual printed magazine, and they went through most of the big companies.
Must be accurate then.
Because it was in paper. You couldn't just delete that shit.
Facebook.
You can't just go cut and delete. But anyway, it was an article about where the engineers came from and what industry they left to be in the bike industry, and it gave a breakdown of kind of what they used to make versus what they make now.
Do you remember what the percentage drop was?
I mean, this was like 20 years ago.
Yeah, but just percentage should be about equal.
Oh, the percentage was like huge. Like they would make 100,000 as an engineer back then, and go into the bike industry and make 50,000, like 50%. And, and these are just base level engineers. They're not like head engineers or anything like that. And, that's old info and stuff, but it's definitely passion based.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the margins they're making, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So bike brands, earn less per bike than you would probably think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would like to spend a little bit of time talking about Shimano, and I want to caveat any of the numbers that we talk about with Shimano in that they're performing better. They're a public company, so I can see them. 80% of their business is bikes. 20% is fishing. The numbers I have are a composite of everything. Mm-hmm. So it includes the 20% fishing.
Okay.
I didn't deep dive into, are the fishing margins way higher or anything, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But everything I'm seeing, even though SRAM's a public company, that SRAM is doing well.
SRAM's private.
I'm sorry, even though SRAM is a private company, that they are also performing well, although I don't know that they're performing this well. Yeah,
and that's the caveat, by the way, to your info is you're using public available data, and these private companies like SRAM, or
I can't see it.
You can't see it. Like Trek would be a brand. You can't see that. And so I mean,
I could guess
you can't analyze it unless you called them up and they open their books for you.
And Dane will attest.
Yeah.
Every single bike company or brand that we talk to, if we get up to someone high, like when we talk with Brian at Pivot, I started drilling him on what his financials were, and he wouldn't tell me shit.
Well, and
or he would tell me, but he would say, you can't publish this.
Yes. Yeah. And also to his credit, they don't always know. Like, like it's not always.
Yeah, if you're the CEO of a company, you know.
I get that, but it's not.
If you don't know, you should not be the CEO of a company. I'm sorry, dude.
I'm just saying they don't know the nitty gritty. They don't know every single. He can't go quote you.
He could quote me every number.
We got to send this to Brian and see what he says.
Oh yeah, that would be interesting.
I think it'd be great to just talk to him.
Yeah, Brian, I know you listen to our podcast occasionally. Maybe you listen to them all.
Yeah.
Hit us up, and if we're like way the frick off on this, let us know.
Yeah, it'd be a whole nother broadcast that we could do.
Is
how we got it wrong.
Yeah, we could go up to Pivot if you want, if you guys are willing, and you can tell me why we're all screwed up here.
Yeah, it's true. So, okay, so we're on key takeaways.
Well, so I'm talking about Shimano.
Okay.
And I just want to say, like, I don't have SRAM's data, but as I understand it, SRAM is also performing better from a net income perspective, but I don't know for sure.
And I feel like because these two brands are the majority of what's on every bike, for the most part, they have a huge. I mean, they're 50% market. If you just split it down the middle, 50% of the bikes SRAM.
So this is something we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Who do you think has one of these two companies has 70% of the market for mid and high end bikes?
So if I was going to say who has the most high end, it's going to be SRAM.
70% of the market for mid and high end bikes.
So I would say
which
SRAM.
is basically like everything in your shop.
In our shop, which is SRAM.
Yeah.
Like almost everything.
It's Shimano.
No way.
Yes.
No way.
Think across the world.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Not just in
what do you call in mid to high? Like what is mid to high?
It's everything in this shop.
Okay. So
Dior would be mid.
Oh, never mind. No. Okay, so see, that's why we don't agree. Because mid would be like XT.
No, that's why I'm level setting
That's
you to
mid
my
to high.
That's why I'm level setting, because there's a whole bunch of other component stuff that's way below that.
As soon as you throw Dior,
yes,
that starts to
I would say even Qs would be in this mid category.
No, yeah, okay, then I would agree with you, because Shimano is dominating.
This isn't
those
something
price
you agree
points.
with me. This is just a fact. It's 70% of the market.
I know, but I guess my mid to me is a $1,000 group, and high is a $1,500.
Yeah, I mean, I think of mid. Yeah, I know we have to.
Okay, so
that's. But if you look at the entire bike market, mid is anything in a bike shop, and below that is shit you find in Walmart.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I would say that. Yeah, totally. I agree with you then. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 70% Shimano.
I think you're totally misleading the.
I'm not trying to. So thank you for helping me make sure that I'm clear in my words, because I'm not. That's not my intent to mislead.
It's really tough because we are a different market. Like if you're a mom and pop and you're selling like $300 bikes, it's totally different than here.
Yes.
So okay.
You're talking about the value of like an Altus.
Yeah, well, like,
Alcera,
low end to me is Altus
Alivio.
And Dior, and that's low end.
But Dior's not low end anymore.
Yeah, that's
Q's isn't low end anymore.
To me it is.
Yeah, but it's not.
And it's not because it's bad stuff. It's just at the lower the cheapest bikes in our store have those things on them, and the most expensive bikes have SRAM on them. And that's not picking. I didn't make these bikes. That's if I look at a top line bike now, very few. They're starting because SRAM Di2,
the new wireless
Di2 has vaulted Shimano back up into the high end. Yeah, but before Di2
for electronic,
electronic is always the high end.
Yeah,
they don't. I mean, that,
I hear you.
Right.
Yep.
And so electronic Dior is mid to high.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
okay. We're in a rabbit hole.
Sorry.
Let's talk about Shimano's financials here.
Okay.
And we've been using 2021 and 2024, so I'll stick to that.
Just because you've got the high point 2021.
Yeah, I'm kind of picking the high point, which is like COVID booming.
High, so it's not realistic.
2024 is the latest data I have,
which is getting closer to normal.
Yeah, maybe.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, that actually, if you think of 2020 as normal, that makes sense too.
Okay.
So about $5 billion in revenue for Shimano.
Okay.
This is in 2021, at a 21.2% net margin.
Yeah, their margin is crazy.
Right.
So,
and then 2024, $3.1 billion in revenue and a just under 17% net income.
How do you think Shimano's going to take to this? Because if I was one of those people on YouTube that's complaining that all bikes are expensive and I used your numbers, the company I'd go after is Shimano.
Well, okay.
Like if anyone had margin.
All right. So that you are setting me up so perfectly for the next section.
All right. Go for it.
Okay.
Go for it.
Because do you think that the Shimano stuff is overpriced?
No. And in fact, I don't think it's overpriced. I think it's a really good.
That's great.
Good price.
That's great. So I feel like when I buy Shimano stuff, I'm paying a fair value. As a matter of fact, I feel like I'm paying a better price than some equal stuff for other companies. And we actually, by the time this one is published, we would have published our other one that talks about low end drivetrains, or what we would call low end drivetrains, which in our last analogy would be mid end drivetrains. But
that's why I get confused. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay.
I know. Okay.
So, the Japanese do things differently. So first and foremost, if you have a dominant market position, which we just established that for the stuff in this bike shop across the world, Shimano does 70%.
Okay.
That you have advantages of things that you can do with pricing, with volume, with OEM negotiations, because you have a more dominant position in the market. You control more of the market yourself.
Okay.
SRAM and the others are in the back seat.
Well, we don't know, to be fair.
No, in this case, I do know.
Okay.
70% of the market is controlled by Shimano.
Okay. All right.
I don't know what SRAM's financials are.
So I just have to nitpick a little bit, because 70% of the market is this, but that does not mean that 70% is more profitable than the 30%.
Correct. I don't know. I don't know what SRAM could be making 200% profit. I don't know.
If their profitability is higher, even though they have a smaller margin, they could be on par. Now, because we don't know, they could also be making 10%,
which I think is probably
30, which is what you get.
Which was what I assume is where they're below Shimano.
And since I don't have a bias like you do, I feel like I have to defend them a little bit.
You always do.
But and that doesn't mean that I like them more than Shimano.
I know you always say that.
I have to sell them both.
And I just say, what's on your bike?
Yeah. That's going to change. I'm just saying.
I love it.
It's going to change.
And I now have RockShox forks on every one of my bikes.
Yeah. I feel like, being loyal to a brand can be, what do they call it? To spite your face?
Detrimental?
Yeah. Like it can be detrimental. Yeah. You want to be loyal to what you want. Yeah. And then if a brand offers that better than another one, you should be, I think an enlightened person would be willing to do that. And I think that's where,
listen, hey man, you told me, Josh, try this Zeb.
Yeah.
And I was like, God damn it, Dane. Okay. and I tried it and I was like, oh, this is amazing. Oh my gosh. Yep. As soon as you put that 3.1 and the buttercups in, I was like, oh my God.
And then you got all upset because it's a SRAM product. You're like, oh shit, this is a SRAM.
So then I won one.
Yep, exactly.
And put that pike on my, so I thought maybe it's because it's an e-bike and it just feels planted.
Yeah. Don't get me started.
I was riding my e-bike last night and I was like, man, this feels planted. I almost stopped and called you and been like, my bike feels so planted, dude.
Planted is such a bullshit term. So
it's not.
It is.
It is not.
It is so bullshit.
Absolutely not.
I'm going to have a shirt made.
But okay, so
planted means heavy.
So the first Zeb came on a bike. Then you upgraded it. The second RockShox fork was the pike I won.
Yep.
Thank you. Yep. I bought raffle tickets, whatever.
Yeah, you supported a trail organization and you happened to win a raffle.
Yeah.
So
for the second time. And the third one I just bought from you.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Those are a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I put down a lot of coin.
I mean, if you look at that, that's $3,000 minimum. Almost $3,500 of suspension,
of RockShox stuff that I have.
Exactly.
Okay. So. Let's get back to Shimano.
That's more than I'm spending on my Shimano stuff.
Shut up, dude. All right. There are some schools of thought, philosophies, methodologies in many of the Japanese companies that I've dealt with and in their culture.
Okay.
That I think are contributing. Not for sure this 70% dominance in the market contributes to how they're performing. But also I think the way they do business is different. And there's 4 key things I want to talk about. The first one's called Kaizen.
Okay.
You've probably heard that term because that's actually a term that we use in the United States as well.
I have not heard it.
So Kaizen is effectively continuous improvement.
Okay.
So every worker at every station in every job is charged to continually look for and propose small improvements to whatever it is they're responsible for.
Okay.
And you can think of it as there is no finish line. They are making 1,000 tiny gains and changes in efficiency that compound day after day after day after year after year after month after decade after decade.
Okay.
So Kaizen is built into their culture that every single one of their employees is charged and feels obligated to find a better way to torque that bolt, to form that mold, to do their financial analysis, whatever.
Okay.
Right. So continuous improvement is like built into their culture. I would tell you that is not the same for American companies.
Do you want to hear a story? A real quick story?
Go for it.
So one of the stories that SRAM tells me is that they have a program where if their employee comes up with a process that is better and they present it, they get awarded and they get
I love it.
perks
That's
and stuff
great.
like that. And so I think there's a lot of companies that have similar ideas, you know, but I feel like if in the Japanese culture, it's not just
like you're born with that.
Yeah. It's not just in your job. It's like, that's how you live your life.
Who you are.
Yeah, exactly. So,
all right. So some of these words, I'm going to screw up the Japanese words, but I'll try the next one.
All right.
Monozukuri.
Okay.
Which is the art of making things.
I thought that was like what you got if you kissed the wrong person.
Also, I think it's a mononucleosis, but in this case, Monozukuri.
I just know it as mono.
Yeah. The art of making things.
Okay.
So have you ever seen like Japanese steel or Japanese knives or anything like that? So like manufacturing in the Japanese culture is treated as a craft.
Okay.
it's not a cost center.
Okay. All
right. It's like they take pride in their craft. Like Japanese steel is like amazing.
Okay.
Right. They refine it. They work for hours and hours and hours on this blade. And then they show you the blade and like, look at this amazing blade. And it's Damascus, and it's been folded and folded and treated and folded and treated and shaped and sharpened and folded and treated and shaped and sharpened. And you get some of the best swords ever.
Yep.
Or blades ever. Just this whole Japanese culture around Monozukuri, the art of making things. Manufacturing to them is a craft.
Okay.
It's not just a cost center. The third one, I'm definitely going to screw up.
Okay.
But Keiretsu.
Okay.
Which is, in simple terms, like interlocking business networks. And so, like, their supplier relationships are very long-term and very loyal.
Okay.
So with their suppliers, they're not just beating down their suppliers for the one that can give them the best nickel off the price. Mm-hmm. They establish long-term enduring relationships, and their manufacturer-supplier relationship is set up to be a win-win. If the prime manufacturer wins, the suppliers win. With those long-term relationships, you form strong bonds, and then you get the suppliers willing to invest their own money to the benefit of the prime.
Okay.
So just a different approach to supply chain management than we have in the States.
Yeah, where sometimes supply chain management is just where can you get it the cheapest?
Yes.
Right? And you're just skipping around.
Yeah, I go put out quotes, and whoever gives me the nickel off price, if they seem like a good supplier, I go to them.
Yeah.
Versus I've known this guy's family, and my family has known his family for generations.
And they're a little bit more than this guy who just came to me down the street, but I have trust.
But it's loyal. It's trust. I know what he gives me is going to be good.
Yep. Yeah.
It's not going to be fast.
Yep. Yeah.
Part of why they don't turn new products so quickly is because it's a slow moving machine.
Yes.
This whole thing is a slow, like Shimano is a slow, like Japanese companies I work with, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries and Suzuki Heavy Industries, they are slow moving machines.
Yeah.
But what they give me works.
Okay. And that describes Shimano almost perfectly, right?
Right.
It does. So, okay.
Then Genchi Genbutsu.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I think I know that guy.
So the translation here is go and see for yourself.
Okay.
Okay. So they're engineers, and not just their engineers, but they are designed to go out and apply these products in real world situations so they get real world experience with what's going on.
So can I break in with another little story? So I worked at Fairwheel, and we did a bunch of projects, and we would take them to the trade shows, and one of them was one of the first DI2 mountain groups.
I remember this.
And the first year was no big deal because it was with the first generation of DI2, which was I'm going to screw this up.
Well, you guys took a road group and converted it to be mountain.
To mountain, yeah.
Yeah.
And Jason did it, and I helped a little bit, but it was all the news. But that was the first one. The second one, so the first one was a full wired DI2, which it didn't use like a CAN bus system. It used I call it ones and zeros system. Basically, each wire would go to the individual component, and they would turn it on and off. Yep. And so you could pretty easily make different shifters and things like that.
Yep.
When they switched to E-tube, which Shimano did, they went to kind of I don't know what they call it, but I call it a CAN bus system like cars use, where one wire can transmit all of them. And I would explain to people that the brains in all of these things, you teach them a language. So your derailleur speaks Spanish. And so when that shifter is speaking Spanish, only the derailleur knows what it's talking about.
Yep.
But the signal is going to the front derailleur, and the signal is going to the other shifter and to the other parts and to the battery. And so if the right-hand shifter was meant to speak Spanish and the rear derailleur spoke Spanish, they're the only ones that would talk, but that signal was going to everything. And then French was the left shifter and the front derailleur, and then the battery spoke, I don't know, German. Portuguese, whatever. And so that's how a CAN bus, it's the same wire, but it's the language going through it. And
I have no idea where you're going with this, but keep going.
So that was much harder to hack and to just make new buttons.
Yeah.
Because you now have to have a chip that's usually in that and in that component, that shifter or what have you,
translator
that translates that language.
Yeah.
And so that was much harder. And Jason got some help from a guy who used to write, I think, apps for Apple.
Okay.
I may be screwing this up a little bit, but he actually programmed this stuff and was able to do it. And then they took it to the next level and they programmed this new group that they were doing with this new e-tube system to then sequentially shift. So he then programmed it to go through the gears and automatically change the front derailleur.
This is back when we had 2x whatever.
This is all 2x road at the time.
Yep.
And road and mountain.
Yep.
And
it would decide when to shift your front derailleur
based on the gear combo. And they programmed it. And that
people hated that, by the way.
Well, they're still doing it, by the way.
Are they really?
By the way, that is actually what is almost
standard. I don't know who the hell's riding a 2x anymore. Even on the road.
The road bike.
I know that.
Yeah.
I know.
And so that system was so cool and nobody did it. And that year at Interbike, we just had engineer after engineer from Shimano coming over. Like they were in line. There was a line of engineers.
Shimano engineers.
I'm not kidding. And I'm not joking at all. And they were coming over and looking at the system.
Genchi Genbutsu.
Yes. And they were looking at it and seeing it in real life. And no doubt it came out a few years. It took them a while to integrate it into their system because of what the other things you're talking about. But they did that. Their systems now do that. Their systems have sequential, and you can have it to where you just hit your right shifter on your road bike, and it will automatically shift your front derailleur.
Yeah,
and then you can turn it on and turn it off, however you want to do it. But that Fairwheel did that first, so it's pretty crazy.
So, just to recap those four things, again, this is, Japanese design philosophy, manufacturing philosophy, business philosophy, this Kaizen or continuous improvement. Everyone's looking to make it better. The Monozukuri, the fact that manufacturing is a craft. And I kind of referenced or used the analogy of the, Japanese steel.
Yeah.
Keiretsu, these interlocking business networks, their supplier relationships are long and loyal, and not just based on the best price. And then Genchi Genbutsu, go see it for yourself. Decisions made from direct observation versus reports or surveys.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think those are part of what makes them go slow. Mm-hmm. Part of why they don't release super fast. They wait to see what's going to happen, and then they're more confident. I don't know if my mic went out there for a second, but they're more confident in the direction that they're going. They're guessing less, and I think probably, and this would be interesting. I'd love to get your perspective on this. Mm-hmm. Here's my hypothesis.
Okay,
I know they've had a couple, but Shimano's probably had less failed attempts to put out new products than other companies. What do you think?
I don't know how to define that because it's pretty wide. I'll give you a couple points where they held on to things longer than other companies, and they did not.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah,
based on how they operate,
and that hurt them.
Yep.
When they were really
when the
pushing,
new shiny thing came out.
It's not even that. When the trend was clearly going one direction.
Yeah, e-wireless, right?
No, 2x. They held on to 2x in mountain bikes way longer
than anyone else.
Than they should have, and it hurt them because they were so invested in it, and that's, if they're slow to move and slow to change,
slow moving machine.
But then they kind of they kept presenting it as if it was better, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
And it was pretty clear. And then by the time they caught up, they looked slow moving and not with it. Right. And so their philosophy is kind of, they're behind a lot. They're not setting the standards. But then I think about our conversation with Nick on Shimano when we talked about the new Di2
and the amount of time they spent on that.
The amount of time he spent taking broken derailleurs at the World Cup races and just analyzing them. And going through and figuring out where is the derailleur breaking, what's breaking, like just forensically going through and figuring out
that is so a Japanese way to approach things, right?
And like that drove them to design the derailleur the way that they did.
Yeah.
And that whole philosophy is not grounded in we're going to copy somebody else or we're going to do it like somebody else. They looked at a unique thing and said, we want to fix this. This is what we really think is important. We're not worried about directing it, connecting it directly to the frame. We're not worried about making it modular or anything. Yeah. But what is it that is failing, and how can we address that? And they did that. They did it. Yeah. So
it's interesting. They talk a lot in business about what they call first mover advantage. Like if there's a new thing that comes out, the first company that gets out there, they have an advantage to take over part of the market faster. I honestly believe that's where SRAM's at it right now.
Yeah,
they've benefited from their first mover advantage, and they've offered things to the market that the market wants.
Yeah.
And Shimano being the slow moving company, I believe over time, at least for that one thing, let's just talk like wireless electric mountain bike, drivetrains, they will catch up. But then SRAM's going to come out with something else.
Yeah.
And that'll be the first mover, and then they'll be behind again.
SRAM's willing to take the risk and kind of go with stuff that's kind of trendy. I remember when I sold Specialized, we were dealing with some bikes, and Specialized decided to spec this weird combination of a triple crank on the front and a short derailleur on the back. And it didn't work. You couldn't set the chain up properly. It just didn't work. Yeah. And I remember talking to Specialized, and they're just like, well, this is how the pros are running it, because it had a shorter cage. And
they needed it for the rocks. Yeah.
And you couldn't set up the chain properly to do what's called cross chaining, where the chain would be in the smallest and the smallest, or the biggest and the biggest, because it would get sloppy in the small, and it couldn't actually be in the big. And so when they shipped the bikes, they would ship it with the chain measured so that it could be in the big. Because if you were in the big, some people are not going to know what I'm talking about, but that means you have 3 chain rings up front, the big one up front and the big one in the back. The chain is the most extended. And then if you hit a big bump on a full suspension, that cage length, the length of that cage is taking up the movement in that suspension.
Yeah.
And if the cage is shorter, you have less chain and less take up. And so if you go through a big bottom out and your chain's too short, it can rip the derailleur off. And that's what we had happen.
Yeah.
And so if we set them up for small, where they worked, in big, they'd rip the derailleur off. And it just was goofy. And SRAM is like, no, that's not how you do it. And Specialized is like, yeah, this is how the pros ride it.
Yep.
And you should know how to shift. You shouldn't be crossed up. And like, that was a tough conversation.
I remember it was like a technique they had to learn, like where to shift between the front and the back. And it was hard, and oh my God.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. We are about at time here. Let me just recap like what we went through here. Bike companies are not making as much as you thought per bike. And
the conversation that everybody's having is how expensive stuff is.
Yeah.
And I think when I go to McDonald's and I'm spending the
$20 on a value meal.
Yeah, on a value meal, and I could have gone to a restaurant for about the same.
Yeah.
That blows my mind. And so that's what we're going through in the bike industry. Yeah. It's the same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
And the first thing Dane said when he looked at the breakout of costs, he said, "Oh, we should do an episode on how we can bring this down."
Yeah.
And I thought, Dane, if we figure that out, we're not putting that in a podcast episode. What I said was, we need to figure out a way that we can make money, because we don't. Yeah. And that's a different topic, but different subject.
And how can the bike industry get a little bit more healthy and not operate on these such small margins, and rely on the passion? And the problem with that is, how would you do that and not raise the prices? Like, it's impossible in my mind. And so every time somebody wants to lower the price, it's getting lowered, but the cost of the stuff is not going down.
Yeah.
And that's the tricky part.
And there's not, we hear this with $325 of margin on a $5,000 bike, or $1,000 on a $15,000 bike.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of wiggle room for them to come down.
No, they have to be super creative. I think I'm going to put one thing out there. I think longer product lines. So
instead of the year,
it feels like they're just releasing new product so fast that the old product,
be more like Shimano than like SRAM.
Absolutely. but and look at some of the profitability there. I mean, if SRAM did look at that philosophy and go, hey, you know what? Maybe we don't need a new product every single year.
Right. Think about the tooling costs.
Yes, exactly.
And all that stuff.
Exactly.
Like Shimano didn't have to retool.
Yeah. Well, anytime you develop a product, you have a way high front end that you have to cover. And then if that product doesn't live a certain life, then you can't pay for it.
I mean, we go back to we talked about Shimano brakes versus Hayes brakes in a couple episodes ago.
And those Hayes have been around
since 2018. That was my point. And we're just now getting excited about them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And last night, Babyfoot, I'm on a ride with him and he's like, I've got Dominions on both my bikes.
Yes. Yeah.
He was all excited about our episode.
Yeah.
That episode, by the way, is performing well.
Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah. I thought it was cool because, I mean, everybody likes brakes. I was just selling some Shimanos today.
Nice.
And letting the guy know about the new Shimanos and all the advantages.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that the bike industry could do is to kind of take a chill pill and maybe follow Shimano a little bit, just calm down. Everybody's so, you know what it is they get you all hyped up. They get you all marketed and
first mover.
Anxious to get
everyone wants to be that first mover.
Yeah, to get the newest and latest, greatest. And then honestly, if you could create a more profitable company and maybe not pump out stuff as much.
Yeah. So instead of putting out new product, put that money towards efficiency and split that efficiency gain a little bit to the price of the product, a little bit to your margin, bring in a little bit more profit, make it a little bit cheaper for us to buy the bikes, let the products live a little bit longer. Because let's admit it, dude, the fucking bikes are rad right now.
They are.
They're rad. There's amazing. Not I'm not super pissed at much besides the stupid dropper cable routing, which is retarded. Whoever's working on dropper, don't listen to me. Yeah. Fix that shit.
Oh, head tube routing.
Don't even let's stop
that.
That's just lunacy.
Right yeah,
lunacy.
Just stop it. But yeah, there's, I think I'd like to see, talking about changing the industry, I'd like to see more trickle down where, let's give Shimano a little shout out and they've got their S-Works bike and maybe after
Specialized? You said Shimano.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Specialized. I'm sorry. Yeah. They both have S's in the beginning. So Specialized has their S-Works frames. That's their premier frame, their top line. It's the best carbon. And then they always have a lower end frame. And that's kind of how they set up their product is like you got your cream of the crop and then they basically lower the cost of everything to get the bike more reasonable, and you sacrifice some weight and things like that, maybe ride quality. But maybe after 3 or 4 years of that S-Works, that gets sent down and you don't totally redesign the next level under it.
Yeah.
And so then if you're getting the S-Works, you're getting the top of the line cutting edge. But if you're getting the non-S-Works, you're getting the old S-Works.
And Shimano does that with their products. Their technology trickled down, and now like Dior is a fantastic group because
it's like 4-year-old XT,
right?
Like I mean, it's
right.
like
or maybe not quite that, but that's the at least that's directionally what you're saying. Yeah,
I think that is kind of I think that needs to happen more often.
Yeah.
So like Fox just released the new 38, so it's a brand new fork. It's got slight change in the damper to create more small bump compliance, which is one of my big things.
Concerns with Fox.
Yeah. And then they put that glide core in, which they put in on the 36.
Yep.
Good measurable differences, but they released it in March. And I'm like, I don't know when the new bikes are coming out, but any bike that has a 38 on it that's sitting on my floor now just got devalued, and that drives me a little nuts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What I would like to see is Fox be a little bit more of aware of its brand partners and maybe release that product on the company's new bikes so that they're not, sitting on a warehouse full of old product, and that's been a real problem. That is putting companies out of business. So
be interesting to look at Fox and study like how much their business is OEM work and how much is direct to consumer or aftermarket.
Oh, it's huge OEM, and they really need those partners.
I just don't know what the breakout is, like how much of it is.
But they're pushing to because this, they do direct to consumer, and because they're seeing high margins.
I don't know that they are.
This is my theory.
I mean, we could know. I could go look. Although I think we had a hard time isolating the financials for their bike industry or for their bike business. So I don't know that I could get really clean numbers there.
I feel like that anytime they get drunk on that bigger margin from direct to consumer, they forget how that stuff affects and they go after that margin rather than.
Well, we talked about why it's not actually a bigger margin anymore.
No,
why it's not working, right?
It's not, but they get drunk on it. Dude, the bean counters get drunk like when they see it. They just like.
All right, we are way are way down a rabbit hole.
Sorry.
But so again, high confidence in the public information.
Yeah.
Moderately confident in the stuff that we kind of derived from the public information, like the bike breakouts that we did.
Yeah.
I didn't give you every component because we could argue. I just gave you the big buckets.
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure, they're not making the profit that you thought they were.
No.
We went deep into Shimano, and I took this as an opportunity to like highlight part of the reason I've wanted to talk about this in the past.
It's a love letter.
It's
really a love letter. Yeah.
Kaizen, Monozukuri, Keiretsu, and Genchi Genbutsu.
All of them are awesome. I love those people.
All good people.
All good people.
Anyways, if you heard something that you know is wrong, let us know.
Yeah.
If you got a question or you want us to look up something different, let us know.
Yeah.
We would love it if you would leave us a review on Apple or Spotify, 5-star review, of course.
Yeah.
Share
with a friend.
Share with your friends.
Yeah.
The podcast is growing steadily. And so thank you for that, because some of you are sharing.
Yeah.
We'd love for it to grow more. We'd love to reach more people.
Yeah.
We are making $0 on this and have no plans to make any money on this.
Still pretty fun.
It's fun.
That's kind of like the bike industry. Nobody makes money, but
it's a passion project,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. I appreciate you guys. Have a good day.
Can you dig it?